Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. So as of, at the recording of this video, I buried my mom, my siblings, and I on July 12th. Okay. And so my mom had a terminal illness, and so like I said, I want to share the life learning experiences that I had throughout this process. So hopefully it will help you if you are the parent, or if you are perhaps the oldest child that may be in charge of handling this stuff, like I was. I am the oldest of my siblings, so this was more of my job. So I'm really hoping that this series of videos will really help you and really spark the conversation between you and your loved ones, whether it's you and your kids, or you and your parents, so that when that time comes, because we must all leave this earth, but it's how you are prepared to leave that is going to be important. So today's topic, we're going to talk about how does life insurance pay for a funeral. Okay, so my mom's funeral cost $12,270. Okay, and we're not talking about anything extravagant. The only thing extra that we did, if you will, is that we had a limo to drive the family. But other than that, and that was only $300. Okay, so it's still $12,000. All right. And so it is important for you to know how your insurance works, how your insurance pays out. So for instance, my mom had two insurance policies. One of them did what's called an assignment, and the other one did not. So the way this works is that if your insurance policy does not do what's called the assignment, and I'll talk about that in a second, then you have to pay for this up front, because they don't deal directly with the funeral home. You have to submit the claim, the death certificate, and all of that for them to pay the insurance to you. But you're going to have to pay for that funeral and that burial up front. Okay. And that $12,000 includes funeral and burial costs. It's two different costs. Okay. Something else I really didn't get, but hey, it is what it is. Okay. So now, if your insurance company will do an assignment, that is what's going to help you to not pay that cost out of pocket up front. And what that means is that the insurance company will pay the funeral home directly and then disperse the rest to the beneficiaries. Now, let's talk about these beneficiaries for a minute, because again, this was one of those aha moments. Originally, when I started really looking through my mom's paperwork and everything, I noticed that she had the grandchildren as beneficiaries. This is not a good idea if your grandchildren are all minors, because what happens with this assignment, with the assignment, all the beneficiaries have to sign this form in order for the insurance company to be able to disperse the funds to the funeral home. So if you've got 19 grandkids and all of them are beneficiaries on this insurance policy, then all 19 of them have to sign this form. And if they're minors, then their guardians, who have to prove guardianship, have to sign this form in order for this assignment to happen. So, fortunately, this was something that we discovered early on so that my mom could fix it, because like I said, her other insurance policy did not do the assignment thing. So we had to really get that fixed quick, fast, and in a hurry, because otherwise my siblings and I would have had to pay this 12 grand up front. And, even could we have done it? Yes, but that's still not cool. Okay. So it's important that you understand how your insurance policy pays out, if it does the assignment, and, and how, who's got to sign these policies. Okay. So absolutely do that. Now, so again, the funeral and the burial are separate. Okay, when you're dealing with the cemetery, it's separate. Fortunately, in our case, the cemetery and the funeral home, they work rather closely together. So so I was able to have them combine that bill. And so the assignment would just be one big thing, because otherwise we would have had to pay for the burial separately. Now, the burial on its own was about 20, let's round numbers, $2,200. That included the plot, the opening and the closing, and something else I forgot. But yes, there is a cost difference between weekday and weekends, before three, after three. But in the overall big scheme of things, it really wasn't that much of a difference. But that also depends on where you are. We were in Georgia. The difference was about $200, between a weekday and a weekend afternoon versus morning. So, but yeah, the burial and the funeral expenses are two different expenses. Um, Now, when there is the assignment, there's also a it's also a service fee that works out to about 4%. So, with what they call the cash advance items, the cash advance items were for the burial and something else. But nuts and bolts is our service fee was another $515. Okay. And even though in the big scheme of things, that was, it's still a small amount. It was still $500. Okay. Y'all know how I do. I'm a tax chick. We look at these numbers real quick. Okay. So the thing about, again, with the burial is really understanding how the insurance works, and make sure that you have a clear understanding of what needs to be done before the death happens. Because, at the end of the day, when the death happens, like I said, in my mom's case, she was terminally ill. So, we were prepared, but that still does not take away the pain. So you really want to work this stuff out when you're not dealing with the emotions of the death. You want to really get this, figured out ahead of time. We're talking about things like, what funeral home does the deceased want to use, where they want to be buried, all, the logistics of all those things, and then working out those costs to make sure that the insurance policy covers that, to make sure the insurance is paid. Okay. One of the things that, although this was not our case, but I've seen it happen, where someone passes away and then their loved ones find out that they let the insurance lapse. And so then there's nothing. I've seen it happen, and it's ugly. So, so you need to, make sure that you find out what's the deal with the insurance. Is the policy still active? Is there enough money? Are there loans against the insurance policy? There are a lot of working parts that go along with this insurance policy. Oh, also another helpful tip that the funeral, that the funeral home gave me is that you have to, with the death certificates, you need to order about 10 or 15 of them, okay? Because everybody wants a certified copy of the death certificate. Each beneficiary, to make their claim for the insurance policy, has to send in a death certificate. Like, okay, how many times can you get the same death certificate? I don't know, but we just gonna do what the people tell us to do, okay? But at the end of the day, you want to definitely have these conversations now while there's no emotion involved, so that you can make a solid plan. One of the things that my mom warned me about, she's like, listen, I need for you to keep your head, because people will try to take advantage of you in your grief. And even though we did not have that, it certainly is possible. Like when we were, going and looking at caskets. And I don't mean to be morbid. I know there's going to be somebody like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're talking about this. But listen, this is a real life thing that you need to have a conversation about. But when we look, when I went to look at caskets, they had caskets, even a cheap one was still about $3,000. They had caskets for like $16,000. And I'm sitting here like, but it's going in the ground. Like, really? But there will be someone who pays for that, okay? But yes, also do the policy reviews, because things do change, right? Things change. You might have one of your beneficiaries may pass away. There's a lot of stuff that you have to, just review that stuff, whether it's annually every 2 years or so, but you just don't not look at it. And especially for my home business owners, this is something else too, that once if you're a sole proprietor, understand that if you die, your business dies. So you need to have a plan for your business in the event that you pass away. Who is going to take over your business? You might need to go get some business structure just for that particular reason, right? Sole proprietorships, I tell you, it's okay to start as a sole proprietor, but that's not where you stay. So you have to have a life plan for your business. Who is going to take over running your business? Does anybody want to take over running your business? Okay, well, if you wind up having to, your business gets sold, who do people need to call? Where do you keep important papers? Fortunately, we had the same briefcase, y'all. My mama has had this briefcase since I was 10. Okay, so this briefcase has been around forever, but this is where all of her important things were. So we knew that when she passed away, that briefcase held everything that we needed to have. So you got to know where this stuff is. You got to know if there's a will, where the insurance policies are, the insurance policy numbers. Again, are the policies, being paid? The premiums being paid, all these things that you need to have in place so that in the event that your loved one dies, that the family that you leave behind is not suffering financially and administratively because you didn't do your homework. So, don't wait. My brother's on here. Hey, brother. So I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to break protocol and speak to my brother. But yeah, this is something that you need to plan ahead of time when there's not the emotion, when there's not a whole bunch of drama going on. So in the event that your loved one does pass away, that it's already settled. You already know what to do. And so that you can then spend that moment, grieving your loved one instead of trying to figure out where you're going to get money from and, how all of these things are going to happen. So that's the deal with, that was lesson number 1, is knowing how your insurance policy pays for your funeral. So yeah, if you're the kid that's going to have to deal with this, if you are the adult and you have children, you need to have a plan with how this is going to work for your loved ones, whether it's, your spouse, or if it's, if you're the last remaining spouse and then your children are going to have to deal with this, you need to have this stuff already planned out so that it's not an administrative and financial hell after you're gone. Okay. So that is it for today's episode of Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, 9:00-ish, and you can come right here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right. And occasionally a few other things. All right. Have a great day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.